put Giannis on Jimmy Butler. First thing is Giannis has got to get in the post more. That's a very simple thing. I'm going to give you another comparison. LeBron James has gotten walled off by teams before. Portland tried to do it to him in round one. But he does a smart thing. He gets it into a guy at the high post or the wing. He runs down and he posts up. And then he gets a position where he's only 3 feet from the basket. Has to take one dribble, maybe no dribbles, maybe max 2 dribbles, so maybe he's a little farther out than 3 feet. But it's a bucket because he's smart enough to figure that out. Giannis has got to stop trying to drive into 4 guys because that's what the defense wants him to do. He's great at doing that, but he can't do that in the playoffs when teams are just sitting there expecting him to do that. What he can do is throw it into a wing to Lopez or to Middleton or to George Hill or Pat Connaughton or Kyle Korver. Throw into one of those guys, circle down, have someone come up to the high post or not, and get deep position and throw it into him where all he has to do is take one dribble or no dribbles, lay it or up or dunk it on some guy. That's all he has to do. And when he wants to post up, he's actually pretty effective. I've seen him in the post this year. He has a turnaround fadeaway over his right shoulder going base on. That's actually not that bad. And he can go down low and get you buckets because I think he's big enough and he's strong enough to do it. But he's got to stop doing that. That's also Budenholzer, too. That's not just Giannis, right? So that's the first point. The second point is the fact the supporting cast has to play like they did in game one. Now, Chris Middleton had a great game, right? Chris Middleton gave you 28 points. He did not play great in the second half, but if you allow him to have 28 points, you can be very effective. Now, he can't have 4 turnovers, right? You can't do that. But I think what he can do is continue to be aggressive because if they're going to double team Giannis, that's his time to shine because he's not going to get the defensive coverages on him that Miami's going to put on a guy like Giannis because Middleton's just not as good. Lopez also has to produce. Lopez gave you 24 points. And Kyle Korver gave you 11 points, right? Now, guys like DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton and Marvin Williams need to produce. But they also don't have Eric Bledsoe yet. So when they get Eric Bledsoe back, he's got to produce too. He's got to give you that 12 to 14 points. The supporting cast is crucial, and that's the only way they're really going to beat Miami unless Giannis scores 35 points. Because if they have that good supporting cast, that's what got them to the number 1 seed. That's what got them to being a championship favorite. Third thing is Giannis has got to guard Jimmy Butler. That's pretty simple. Jimmy Butler gave you 40 points in game one. And looking at my notes here, he was 13 of 20 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3, 12 of 13 from the line. And he was very effective. He was +7 on the court. Then you also had Goran Dragic, who gave you 27. And Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson didn't even play that well in game one. Duncan Robinson only had 4 points. Tyler Hero only had 6 points. Sorry, Tyler Hero had 11 points, but he shot 3 of 11 from the floor. So you got to put Giannis on Jimmy Butler because Giannis is – it's not like saying put Rudy Gobert on the guy because Rudy Gobert's Defensive Player of the Year. Like some of the guys in ESPN saying just because he's Defensive Player of the Year, you should put him on it. It's because Giannis is known to be able to guard every position. He's quick enough and athletic enough, and he can do that. So put him on Jimmy Butler when you need him to because that's going to be harder for Jimmy Butler to score. So compared to a guy like Pat Connaughton or Chris Middleton, where he's stronger than them, you know, Jimmy Butler is 6'6". You put 6'11" Giannis Antetokounmpo on him, who that's tough length to shoot over, especially because Jimmy's more of a mid-range go-to-the-basket type of player. Even though he can hit threes, he's more go-to-the-basket, right? And that's, I think, going to play to Milwaukee's benefit because Brook Lopez can at least block shots and make it tough for Bam Adebayo. Like Bam Adebayo didn't necessarily dominate in game one. He had 17 rebounds, but he only had 12 points. And Bam Adebayo is a great player, great all-star, right? He's a 16-10 guy. But that's just, I think, the crucial thing, too, with them. Now, with OKC and Houston, it's simple for Houston. James Harden, the 3 things that Houston needs to do tonight to win are these. James Harden's got to show up in the fourth quarter. Russell Westbrook's got to control the ball. And the supporting cast to show up. Now, the third thing, the supporting cast showing up, actually, I thought they did a decent job the other night. But I'm talking about specifically Eric Gordon. He shot atrocious in this series. And I just think that that's just the problem there, right? You look at Eric Gordon, and he's a great player, but he can't stay healthy, and he shoots a bad percentage, right? And that's a problem, right? If Eric Gordon doesn't stay healthy, they're not going to win. Now, James Harden needs to play at a high level as well. Now, he had 32 points in Game 6. He's played pretty well this entire series. I mean, he's scored around 30 in mostly every game. except for game 2. But the problem I have with him is simple. With 4 minutes to go, and 4 minutes to go or less in that game 6, he took 2 shots, didn't make either of them, wasn't really looking aggressive, and they lost the game. They had a 6-point lead with 4:15 left to go, 98-92, and he took 2 shots the rest of the game, allowing Chris Paul to score 8 of the last 12 points. If they're going to win this series, it's going to be because of James Harden. It's not going to be because of Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's still coming up in injury. He's still very rusty, and that's kind of the problem there. So if you look at James Harden, he's just a great player, but he's got to play more big time in these moments. And the last thing is Russell Westbrook has to play more in control. 7 turnovers isn't going to get it done. Because if you're 8 of 15 from the floor, that's actually very good for him. I like that from him. But 7 turnovers, just the dumb passes he was making because he was rushing, right? Because he was trying to get down into the defense. They collapsed, and he jumped in the air and tried to throw these tough passes, or he was trying to make it too quick of a play, and he just lost track of controlling the ball as well as I think he can. So for the Rockets to win, he's going to have to control the ball too as a second option to not give Chris Paul and Danilo Gallinari and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander more opportunities to keep the game close. For OKC, it's very simple. Continue to throw Luguentz Dort on Harden. Chris Paul's got to continue to play at his high level, and they got to keep the game close. Luguentz Dort has done an unbelievable job forcing Harden to shoot 30%, around 30% from the floor when he's been guarded by him. That's an incredible job because he's big enough and strong enough to at least bother James Harden. Now, they have to continue to throw bodies at James Harden the entire game to wear him down. But Luguentz Dort's a guy who can definitely wear him down, make it tough for him, make him, in the second half, get a little bit more exhausted. I think they need to continue to do that because that's worked for them so far. Now, the second thing is Chris Paul has to play big, and that's just the important piece there. Chris Paul's got to play big. He's got to be able to be that player that needs to be. And if he does that, like he did the other night, him and Danilo Gallinari play big. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plays big. They're going to be fine. I think if they play like that tonight, they're going to be fine. Now they also have to keep the game close because in the close games this series, they've won.
If you like that clip, like and subscribe to hear more from Schretter Takes podcast show, and be in touch for more stuff coming up weekly.